T L.
It's time!
W.
T L.
I think we got a show. Oh yeah, we got a show.
W.
T L.
And welcome back, everybody, to WTL. That stands for Where's the Line? Nebraska's first and only sports betting show. I'm your host, Andy Classen, joined by
JaBron.
The Parlay Pounder.
You got it. We're back in action.
And I know you're itching to fire off some parlays here tonight.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it. I got them locked and loaded for this week. Big week of football. It's going to be a lot of fun.
But we're going to keep them in suspense, right? We can't
Got it.
That's coming. We're gonna. That's the grand finale. You know how like a fireworks show, it starts off big, big bang. You know,
big bang.
There's some filler in there, and then a boom. You know, at the end.
The big money maker at the end. Yep, for sure.
I was going to say the money shot, but I don't know if that's appropriate. So we'll stay away from that.
Yeah.
So let's start with Thursday Night Football, right?
Yeah, for sure.
This is kind of an intriguing matchup. Tampa Bay is heading on over to Buffalo to Highmark Stadium there in upstate New York, where the Bills are only 4-3. Tampa Bay just dropped a game. They're 3-3. However, they're still
for sure.
Fighting for their division right now. So this is an important game on prime, 7:15 kickoff. Buffalo is a 9-point favorite.
Yeah, Andy. I mean, I get why the line's where it is, but Tampa Bay really needs to win this after losing 3 of their last 4 games. The Buccaneers also have won both of road games that they played this year.
Yeah.
On the other side of the ball, Andy, the Buffalo Bills also need a huge win as well after splitting their last 4 games.
Yeah.
The Bills have won 6 straight home games, which is really where it comes down to, Andy. And the Buffalo Bills are the better team here, obviously. But
they probably got better talent.
But, I mean, they obviously can't afford to lose this game, but the Buccaneers have no running game. That's why they're 26th in scoring offense, but they find a way to play hard and compete. The Bucs are 10th in rush defense and 6th in scoring defense.
Uh-huh.
This feels like an ugly, low-scoring Thursday night game with both teams, limping towards the finish line.
Yeah.
That's why I kind of got to lay, go with those points in my back pocket with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers covering that 9 points.
I like that. I like Tampa Bay covering, and that over-under, the total I'm looking at right now is 43.
Yeah.
And Tampa Bay is an under team.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, big time. Let me look at 6 of the last 7 games have hit that under. And Buffalo, there's just way too inconsistent on offense.
Yeah.
I don't know if they can. I know they like to hit that over, and they do more times than not, but it's not an impressive number.
No.
And they need to focus on just winning right now.
They do, and that's why I think this is going to be kind of a scrappy game, come down to it. And I think the Bills will have a sense of control in the game, but I really do believe it goes out, 3 to 7 points there at the end.
You're bucking a trend here, betting on Tampa Bay, though. They are 0-6. Their last 6 games against an AFC opponent, they have not covered. They have not covered this spread the last 6 times they've squared up with an AFC team. And for all intents and purposes, this feels like it should be one of the better AFC teams.
Yeah, for sure, Andy. And a couple of these AFC teams have been letting us down as of late.
Yes, they
Looking
have.
at you, Cincinnati. We're looking at you, Buffalo.
Right.
A couple, just stumble on a few. It's the NFL, so that's what happens. But I will give you a stat to combat what you just said. The Buccaneers have won each of their last 6 games against an AFC East opponent.
So this sounds ugly. It just sounds like an ugly game.
So that's a little LeBron stat for you,
Like we were saying, that it just sounds ugly up and down. And you're probably your safest bet. This is the NFL, and when it gets close to 10 points, that's a lot in the NFL.
Exactly.
So you got, even though it's on the road, you got to think Baker Mayfield and Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I do. Just to cover there, I do believe Buffalo wins.
Yep.
One thing I do want to point out here is a player prop, Andy.
Okay.
Rashad White under 49.5 rushing yards. I mean, let's face it, this guy was, on draft boards, fantasy football, all that, but he has been very underwhelming this season. He's only averaging 3.2 per attempt, and he's only exceeded this prop twice this year. And this Buffalo Bills defense, one of the best in the world defensive line and linebacking core. So I really like Rashad White under 49.5 rushing yards.
And I'll pile on there for you. I talked about the inconsistency with Buffalo. I'm talking about their offense. I'm not talking about their defense. Their defense is consistent.
It keeps them in games.
I like that prop. Underwhelming running back against a really good run defense. at home.
For sure.
Give it to me.
And add the fact that the Bills are favored by 9 points.
Yeah.
White will likely be out of the game script pretty early if they get down. So I really like that prop.
All right, let's move to a noon kickoff.
Yeah, let's do it.
A game that a lot of our people are going to be watching, listening
no
to.
doubt.
That is the Minnesota Vikings heading on over to Green Bay. We're going to go to Green Bay.
Hey.
The Packers are only 2-4. It's so funny. People weren't expecting a lot of Green Bay, and then all of a sudden season starts like, what happened?
What happened?
What happened to the Packers? Minnesota just got themselves back into the
world
conversation.
beaters.
Yep. They've moved to 3-4, and now things are much more interesting in the NFC North. Looking at this opening line, it was out plus 1.5 Minnesota.
Yeah.
Is that what it is anymore?
I'm looking at even. I'm looking straight across at even.
Yep.
By the time Sunday rolls around, it's going to be in favor of the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah.
It's just how people are betting this game.
Yep.
If you were good enough to get plus points for the Minnesota Vikings, good for you.
Yeah.
This is it's going to be interesting to see the Vikings injury report in this as they are banged up on Monday night and now have a shorter week to lick their wounds.
That's true. It's
but
true.
with that said, the Vikings are probably the more talented team in this spot. They're starting to figure things out, especially even without Justin Jefferson. We are seeing another Justin Jefferson flourish in our eyes. Jordan Addison, what a game on Monday night.
Yep.
And Kirk, I think everybody should just put that to bed. He's not a primetime player because he willed that team to win, playing one of the best games of the NFL season this year. Deserves all the hype that he's getting right now. I think he goes into Green Bay and smacks these guys.
I felt really good about that because I've been beating the Cousins drum for a couple seasons now.
For sure.
And it just took one. It was so hilarious to me watching Twitter just line up and everyone saying, have we been discounting Kirk Cousins and his efforts? Yes.
Yes, you have.
Yes. And like you said, I mean, he was making big-time throws there in the face of heavy pressure. He was getting put on his backside, and he was still completing throws.
No doubt.
And I think that first pick, didn't it go off his receiver's hands?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, so like even that one pick that he had, I can't even put that on him.
No, you can't. And on the other side of the ball, Andy, the Packers have lost 3 straight. Their defense is 30th against the run. I believe Madison and Cam Akers coming into the fold for
Akers
the Vikings.
is getting better and better and more carries.
Exactly. So I just really think this is a really get-right game for Minnesota, coming off a huge win with the 49ers. So I really like the Minnesota Vikings here going into Green Bay to get this victory.
How about that over-under at 42?
Yeah.
Ooh, it's in Lambeau. It's on Lambeau Field.
Yeah.
The over has gone over 5 of the last 6 times these two teams have squared up.
Yeah. I really think that's probably a safe one to go over with. I just think the Minnesota Vikings are going to put it on these guys, especially with that defense being so bad for the Green Bay Packers. I really like it.
Yeah, Minnesota's last 5 games, believe it or not, they have hit that under.
Yeah.
But I think that's part of they play on turf a lot. And it gets to be inflated.
Yeah.
It gets jacked up a little bit. There's a few more points riding on that. And these are two teams that know each other,
and they've
know
been
each other well.
playing good teams that score a lot of points, like the San Francisco 49ers.
Right.
So I like that this wasn't so low. The Minnesota Vikings can score points, and the Packers can throw a couple touchdowns in there as well. So they can. So
sneaky spot to maybe get that over.
Yeah,
Sneaky spot
I
for
like
that
the over, but no matter what, rolling with the Vikings.
All righty, are we going to move to a Sunday afternoon game here?
Let's do it.
3:25 kickoff Central Standard Time on CBS. Another game that's going to have a lot of eyeballs, especially in our listening area on. That is the Kansas City Chiefs leading the division at 6-1, taking on the Denver Broncos.
Whoa.
A little bit of life to the Broncos. They're 2-5, right? And they are a full touchdown right on that key number of 7. They are a 7-point underdog.
Yeah, if you're on the Chiefs, get it now because I believe this will get bumped up to 7.5, 8 points by Sunday. Yeah. So if you're on the Chiefs, do it right now. Or if you're on the Broncos, wait a second, get it at 7.5 or 8 points because that's where you're going to want it. Mm-hmm. It's hard to get on the Broncos because they haven't beaten the Chiefs since World War II. So I wouldn't blame you leaning towards the chalk here, the road chalk with the Chiefs. But the Broncos have covered 4 of their last 6 meetings against the Chiefs, and they have a somewhat competitive 2 weeks ago when they only lost by 11 at Arrowhead. So
only lost by 11.
Yeah, the Chiefs have a below average rushing attack, and the defense has issues stopping the run at times. But I really believe if you can get this at 7, ride with the Chiefs. If it gets anything above that, if it gets to 7.5, 8 points, you really got to to look down and see if you're on that Broncos team or not.
Even with some of those crazy point spreads that we're talking about, 11.5, 12 points with the Chiefs,
No
they
doubt.
have covered 5 of the last 6 games.
Yeah.
Against the spread, the Chiefs have been golden, and you couldn't always say that last couple of seasons.
No, you can't.
But as of recent, they have been. Now, let's get to the important question here. Is Taylor Swift going to be in the stands?
I bet she will be.
Because
She's a mile high lady.
We have we have enough. We have the data's out there. We have enough of it now. It's solid. It's concrete. There's no arguing it. Travis plays better when she's in the stands.
No doubt about it.
He only averages 46.5 yards receiving when
she's not there.
When she's not there.
Yep.
He averages 99 yards and a touchdown when she is there.
And just had 170 some. Going into
last week against the Chargers, had 12 catches,
Huge.
179 yards, and a touchdown. We need to know if Taylor Swift's going to be. I'm not going to do a player prop until I find out if she's going to be there or not.
You know what? I will do a player prop right now with just not anytime touchdown for Travis Kelce is going to hit no matter what. Give me that no matter what. I love that.
Nice. The total sitting at 46. Real quick, what do you got?
Yeah, I believe that this probably does go over because of just what I said. The Chiefs defense does have some holes in it, and the Chiefs are gonna explode on the offensive side.
Yeah.
So if the Broncos have any chance of covering this game, they're gonna have to score some points, and if that does happen, it's going over for sure.
Sign me up.
Yep.
All right, you heard the horn. That means we're up against it, so let's take a quick minute to recognize one of our fabulous partners, and that is the Nebraska Brewing Company. We've been enjoying their fall pumpkin ale known as Wick for Brains, the official beer of Halloween. Crafted with real pumpkins, giving it a rich amber ale seasonal flavor, not found in many other pumpkin ales. Nebraska Brewing Company, world class in every glass. Don't go anywhere. This is WTL. And welcome back, everybody, to WTL. It stands for Where's the Line? Nebraska's first and only sports betting show. I'm yours, Andy Classen, joined by
JaBron.
the Parlay Pounder.
You got it.
And we talk a little NFL.
Yeah.
Now we got to get into the college ranks.
Have to.
We're staying with football. I
Yeah.
know there's a lot of things going on.
There is.
There's baseball. There's NBA basketball. Hockey played 1,200 games in a row yesterday.
Yep,
The day before.
the frenzy. Yep.
The frenzy. So that was a lot of fun. But we got to stick with what the people want to hear. And
For sure. It's all football, all weekend long, all football.
That's right. So let's talk some college football and a couple highly ranked teams here.
Yep.
Out of the Pac-12, while it's still around, which isn't that just amazing? The Pac-12 is so loaded from top to bottom.
Yeah.
Like one of the most complete conferences. You got to give it to them, and it's all just going to be gone.
Disintegrated.
It's just, that's, I think there's still 2 teams left. So that'll be fun. They're guaranteed championship spot, right?
Runner-up and champion.
Every year.
Yeah.
Every year we make the
We're in
championship
the
game.
South Championship.
We used to never make the championship. Okay, we're piling on there. But
Yeah.
anyhow, we're going to talk Oregon Ducks. The 8th-ranked Oregon Ducks are heading down to Salt Lake City, Utah to take on the Utes, who are a 6.5-point home dog.
Yeah.
That's in the 2:30 window on Fox. You got a total at 48. I think a lot of people are looking at that total. You hear Oregon and you hear something less than 60 59.
Points,
You're like, oh my God, let's talk about that total. But I want to hear your thoughts on this point spread being just off that key number of 7, and we have a home dog.
Yeah, no doubt. And I'm going to go with the unthinkable here and fade Utah at home, Andy. I think there's a reason that Oregon is favored here. I truly think that Oregon is the best team in the Pac-12 still.
Okay.
And now that Utah shut down Cam Rising down for the year.
He's down. Yeah, he's done.
I really think Oregon can focus on shutting down Nate Johnson and Bryson Barnes. So I believe the Ducks are built to beat teams home or away. I don't love Utah's chances of going score for score with a legitimate defensive unit like Oregon's. I really think Bo Nix gets it done here. I think the Ducks get it done. Pull away here. Give me the Oregon to snap the Utes' home winning streak. Win and cover.
Yeah, both of these teams are 6-1. Both of these teams are 3-1 in the conference. However, not all losses are created equal.
For
Oregon
sure.
had a great game against Washington, back and forth. And I'll do a quick comparison. Now we've kind of settled on the quarterback. Bo Nix has already eclipsed 2,000 yards passing on the season compared to Barnes, who's just over 600 yards passing.
Yep.
You got Bo Nix with 19 touchdown passes and 1 interception. Barnes has 4 touchdowns and 3 interceptions on the season.
Yeah.
That just can't get it done in a game like this, can it?
It can't get done, and this Oregon defense is going to be a lot better than the ones that Barnes has already played. So
Right.
I think this is the toughest. Toughest defense that Barnes has been slated up against, and Bo Nix is in mid-season form.
Yeah.
Gonna tear this Utes team up. I really believe Oregon is definitely should be a touchdown favorite. If you can get it at 6.5, do it now.
This is the type of game, and you never know what's going to happen, especially in college football,
For
right?
sure.
Who wins, who loses, who looks good, who looks bad. Bo Nix with a big game against a ranked opponent at home could have slid right back into the Heisman talk here.
Yeah, for sure.
He slid out, and now he could move right back in.
Yeah.
All it takes is one game.
All it takes is one game. You saw with the Washington guy.
Yep.
He was leading
Yep.
it, and now the only people that people can talk about now is the Michigan guy because they haven't lost yet.
Right.
So no, it's going to be probably a one-loss team who wins the Heisman Trophy, and why not Bo Nix? Because the stats say it for himself.
Yeah, before we move on, what do you think of that total at 48? I think there's going to, before it's all said and done, I think so much money, public money, square money, whatever is going to be coming in on that.
Yeah, it
over.
gets to 50, no doubt. I really think the over is the only way to go, just because of those things I said with Oregon. I believe that the Utes will keep up with them for a little bit, but the Oregon Ducks are going to pull away in the second half. But I believe there's going to be a lot of points on that scoreboard. And 7 of Oregon's last 8 games in October have gone over in the total point line. Give me the over.
Yeah. And Oregon, like you said, they can score enough to actually help you out in this case.
No doubt.
All right. Should we move on to another 2:30 game?
Let's do it.
All right. Another ranked game here. This time out of the ACC.
Yeah.
The 20th ranked Duke Blue Devils, currently sitting at 5-2, are heading down to play Louisville. They are ranked 18th in the nation, and they are a 4-point favorite at home. This game is going to be on ESPN. That total is at 46.5.
Yeah, I'm kind of flipping my script here. I get the case can be made for Duke as the underdog coming in, but I feel a lot better about the Blue Devils if I knew if Riley Leonard would be playing.
That's a big question mark. That's a big question mark.
They're much more effective with him at the starting quarterback role.
Yep.
On the other hand, Louisville was due for a letdown game against Pitt. We saw that happen, but I think the bye week was good for Louisville to get refocused, to reestablish at the task at hand. I think Louisville comes out with a purpose, wins this by a touchdown. So give me Louisville laying the points here. I like it.
And you're not laying a full touchdown here. And this line moved to it opened at 3.
Yeah.
It's already moved a point, so it's moving in that direction that you're talking about there. And Louisville has covered at home their last 8 games. Last 8 games at home, they've been able to cover. So they play pretty good at home.
Yeah, exactly. Like you just said, it has won each of its last 8 games at home. It has covered the spread in each of its last game at home.
8 games at home, yeah.
And they're one of the only 6 FBS teams undefeated at home this season, being 3-0 at home this season. So I really like Louisville for all that. And, the nagging question on the other side of the ball for Duke has me kind of in a tense with them.
Does that, with the questions Duke has injury-wise, and we're seeing injuries pile up. I mean, don't tell Nebraska fans about injuries.
Sure.
We've heard enough. We get it.
We get it.
Everyone's dealing with injuries right now, but with Duke's at some key spots there, does that give you a moment of hesitation as far as looking at that over? I know you like to smack the over.
Yeah, no, it really does, Andy, because I believe if Louisville can get out to a little bit of a lead, they're going to play a little stall ball with Duke. So I really do believe that this might be one that I'm looking at the under in. I probably will sidestep it, but if I was leaning away, it would be on the under in this one.
Okay. I'm looking at all these different models and going through all these different analytics and stuff that we do before each show. And a lot of these score predictors actually have Duke winning by a point and a half.
I'm sure they do, yeah.
And then Louisville's favored by 4.
Yeah.
So that tells me that I don't know. I think Duke can at least cover here.
Yeah, they probably can.
A field goal win, I think Louisville would feel pretty good about that.
Yeah.
And it'd be right on the cusp. And if I can keep catching more and more points here, I got to feel better about Duke covering that.
Yeah,
so
you're probably right.
I might keep an eye on this one, and if I see a much more volatility, I'm going to think, all right, enough's enough. Duke can cover, and I might not know till Saturday. Is that 5? Is that 5.5?
Right.
What's going to make me pull the trigger on this one?
Yep. Nope. Totally.
All righty, let's move on to a 6 o'clock kickoff in the SEC. That's the Tennessee Volunteers taking on the Kentucky Wildcats. Kentucky at home, a 3.5-point dog. That's going to be on ESPN, the mothership. Now, this is an over-under that's north of 50 at 51.5.
Yeah, I mean...
what do you mean?
This is crazy here, Andy. I really don't know which way I want to go on this one.
Kentucky just got smacked.
I believe I'm going to stay with Tennessee. Probably not touching this one in reality, though.
Okay.
The Volunteers went completely silent on offense after halftime in that Alabama game, which is really scaring me a little bit. But, post some decent stats, 404 yards. I mean, we would love to have something like that.
Both of these teams are 5-2. It's just the way that Kentucky gets handled by some of these top-tier teams in the SEC. It's like, why can't you hang in there?
They just take games off, it seems like. And Tennessee has been at 20 points or fewer in the last 3 or 5 games, which isn't good enough result with this talented squad, I believe. Yeah. So they need to make some adjustments coming into this matchup, but I think they will manage that. As for Kentucky, they still in a position to win versus Missouri in that last outing, despite an ugly statistical effort. Yeah. The Wildcats finished with 12 penalties for 122 yards, 3 turnovers, and 5 out of 12 third down rate. That is terrible, ugly football, Andy. With an extra week of rest, I think I like Kentucky to keep pace, like you're saying. I think they can keep pace with the Volunteers, but I believe Tennessee wears the Wildcats down on their way to cover in the second half.
You think they can win by about 6?
I do.
So
I think they win a touchdown.
Oh, by a touchdown. Huh?
Yep.
Golly, it's just all those things with Tennessee and their inconsistencies and kind of licking their wounds. And why? Why is their offense stalling?
I don't know.
And other teams have been able to move the ball against Alabama.
For sure.
This isn't an Alabama defense that I feel like, accustomed to seeing all the time.
They're still pretty dang good, obviously, but this Tennessee was, they are ranked really high, obviously, because of their offensive output, and it just hasn't been consistent enough. Do I think it's consistent enough to beat Kentucky by a touchdown? Yes, I do.
Okay, well, Kentucky has smacked the over in 4 of their last 5 games.
Yeah.
However, I feel like this has underwritten all over it. Where are you at?
Yeah,
51.5 is your current total.
Which is kind of crazy, Andy, but 4 of Tennessee's last 5 road games, they have gone the under. So that is where I'm going with the under, just because I think I really do think it's going to be a little bit of a back and forth game in the first half. And then Tennessee, gets about a touchdown lead, but I don't believe there's going to be a lot of points in this. I see this going into halftime like 7-10.
I wouldn't be surprised to see that, but then I also wouldn't be surprised, both offenses are woke up, now the defenses are going to take a nap.
Exactly.
I
agree.
Just so up and down with these two teams. And golly, this is another one of those games. If I could keep catching a half point here and there, I might be looking at Kentucky.
There you go.
But I'm gonna hesitate a little bit. I think I'm siding with you. I might just sidestep this one completely.
Yeah,
because I don't know where these two teams are at.
No, I'm with you. I think I'm going to stay with Tennessee. I would, I'd favor Tennessee, but probably in all the reality, I'm sidestepping this game. I think it is going to be a really fun game to watch, though.
We might have a couple Big Ten matchups that we're looking a little bit more closely at.
For sure.
As far as making some wagers. All right, there's the horn, meaning we're up against it. Take a minute to recognize one of our fabulous partners, and that is the Stock and Rod Company, an outdoor lifestyle brand for those seeking adventure. Whether it's hunting, fishing, hiking, they got you covered. Visit stockandrod.com to get your wild game on. Don't go anywhere. This is WTL. And welcome back, everybody, to WTL. That stands for Where's the Line? Nebraska's first and only sports betting show.
Yeah.
I'm your host, Andy Classen, joined by
JaBron.
Ooh, Parlay Pounder.
You got it. We're back.
And we got a full slate of college football we need to get into.
Let's do it.
Let's start with the Big 12.
Big 12.
Not quite the big noon kickoff here, but it's still an 11 o'clock Fox kickoff.
Right.
We got the number 6th ranked Oklahoma Sooners heading down to Kansas.
Yeah.
What is that? David Booth Stadium, Memorial Stadium.
Yep, they're in Lawrence.
In Lawrence, Kansas. And the Jayhawks are a 10-point home dog.
Yeah.
Over under, get this, 65.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy, isn't it, Andy, when you think about that? It's crazy for me not to think that Kansas can cover this, but Kansas has also failed to cover the spread in 12 of its last 13 games as an underdog against AP-ranked teams, which obviously Oklahoma is.
Yeah, very much so.
But I might take a stab on Kansas here, Andy. The Jayhawks have a bit of extra time to get ready for this tough matchup, and if all goes well, I think they can keep a cover pace with Oklahoma.
Okay.
In their last game against Oklahoma State, Kansas posted 500 yards, 410 of that being passing, with 19 first downs and a pair of interceptions on defense. So, Kansas is scoring pretty well, is what I'm trying to get at. And
they're a good offense.
They've hit 31 or more points in all but one game so far. So I do believe they can keep pace. If this is 10 points or over, I believe Kansas can cover.
Kansas is the trendy pick. Looking at other journals and sports betting magazines and stuff like that. But man, you are spot on. Kansas is an 0-5 ATS against the spread. Their last 5 Big 12 opponents.
Yeah.
They just can't cover when they're playing conference opponents, ranked opponents. And you've seen so many good things, and everybody likes Leipold and the coaching staff down there. But, man, they just leave you wanting more and thinking, do I really want to lay it with Kansas?
No. That is what you got to look at yourself and say, Andy. If this is at 9.5, I think I go with the Oklahoma side. If it gets to 10 or over, I think I got to side with the Jayhawks.
All right. Well, Gabriel, quarterback for Oklahoma, he has got it rolling he's good as advertised, right?
Yeah,
over 2,000 yards passing. He takes care of the football too. 19 touchdowns, only 3 picks. Not quite the same story over there on the sideline for Kansas. Bean is their trigger man. He almost has 1,000 yards, 913 yards on the season, 9 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Just it's a whole different category.
It really is.
It's a different category.
But I cannot not bring up Oklahoma last weekend. They survived a major scare against a UCF team. Thanks to a two-point conversion to stop. Late in the game. So It wasn't the prettiest of wins. Obviously, they did get the W, but it's the offense that keeps rolling for Oklahoma.
Right.
And the Sooners have scored 28 or more points in all but one game so far. So they should post another big total in this one.
They should.
I think the Jayhawks keep pace, but I think that over is what I'm looking at.
The over. Even at 65, you like the over.
I do.
We're going over.
Going over.
Hey, everybody just kind of chalks it up like Oklahoma is going to score 40.
Yep.
And we've seen a lot of, the last 2-3 years that's what Oklahoma does.
Yep.
And Kansas should be able to defend home and get us there, right?
Yeah, they should.
They should be able to do that. Come on, Jayhawks. Get us that 65.
Let's do it.
Bet the over. Should we stay in the Big 12?
Let's do it.
The BYU Cougars.
Yeah.
Heading over to Arlington, Texas to take on the number 7th ranked Texas Longhorns, where they are at 18-point favorite.
Yeah.
That's a 2:30 kickoff on ABC. You got that total at 50. I think the biggest shocker here is how the gap there with that point spread, 18 points.
Yeah.
The Cougars are 5-2 on the season.
I think people are going to get scared about this line and bet on BYU, and that is incorrect.
Ooh.
I'm going to lean Texas here. You can make a case either way, but both teams have few things to work on after last weekend's victories. Texas came up with 360 yards, 219 while passing, 19 first downs, and 0 turnovers, Andy, and a big win over Houston. That said, the Longhorns also just went 3 for 12 on third down tries and gave up 378 passing yards to the opposition. Still, considering Texas has hit 30 or more points in every game this year, I imagine their offense will be on track on this one and stack it up against BYU.
I'm trying to find a stat so I can argue with you here.
But, it's tough.
I hate Texas.
I hate them.
Horns down.
I hate them.
But I think they're going to cover this 18 too.
For sure.
They're going to. Here's one. They are 1-4 against the spread in games played in October. The last 5 games in October.
It's a little different team, I would say.
It's like the Minnesota Twins PA announcer when he's digging up those stats on the radio.
Exactly. No, but as for BYU, I'll just go into it a little bit. Their offense was pretty slow overall against Texas Tech with 277 total yards, only 127 yards passing, which they're going to need to do against this high-powered Texas offense, and only had 12 first downs. The Cougars benefited greatly from the Raiders having, 5 turnovers and 9 penalties, though. So that's not going to happen against Texas. Texas is going to whoop these guys. It's going to be more than 21 points. With the things that people are saying about Texas is the quarterback controversy. Quarterback is banged up a little bit. We might be able to see Arch Manning at the end of this game once we get some points built up.
Quinn Ewers, he's almost at 2,000 yards already on the season. Takes care of the football as well. 13 touchdowns, only 3 picks. Knocked off Alabama, right?
Yeah.
Like, what more can this kid do?
No, I think he's banged up a little bit. That's what I'm saying.
A little bit of an injury. And Slovis, he can keep pace. The BYU quarterback, he is not the problem. He's got over 1,500 yards on the season through the air. It's the rushing attack. The Cougars just don't have a strong enough rushing attack to keep pace with the Longhorns. That's why they're 6-1. They're 3-1 in the conference and ranked 7th in the nation.
Yeah.
And they're getting them at home here. 18 points. Fine, I'll do it. And you like the over too, huh?
I like the over. I like Texas.
Man, hook 'em.
Hook 'em horns.
Hook 'em horns. All right. Should we move on to the game I think everybody's been looking at here?
The game of the week.
The game of the week. Anyway, our game of the week.
Let's do it.
The Boilermakers are coming to Lincoln.
Yeah.
They're only 2-5 on the season, taking on a team with a winning record in the Cornhuskers.
Let's
4-3. And I feel like they've hit another gear. They found new life here. They are a slim 2.5-point favorite just off that key number of 3. That's a 2:30 kickoff on FS1. You got a total at 39.5. Ooh, and a lot of books I'm looking at actually moved it up a half point here.
Yeah,
I'm looking at 40.
40.5.
I'm looking at 40.
Yep. You know what? Nebraska Cornhuskers coming into this one 4 of their last 5 games, winning them after a 17-9 win over Northwestern last time out.
Gritty
should have
win.
beat that team by 3 more touchdowns. We just can't keep it going.
You mean first half turnovers don't help cover
exactly.
spreads?
It's crazy. We should have won that game by at least 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
But the freaking injuries are just stacking up against the Cornhuskers here. But the defense is still our strong point. This Purdue offense is just, I guess the one thing you can say about Purdue right now is it's rusted. And a lot of their recent losses have been against tough teams in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
But I'm not investing a whole lot into that stuff.
No.
Nebraska's playing well defensively, and the offense has been able to do enough since Harburg has took over the starting role. I think this ends up being a game that Nebraska wins like 20-13, 17-13. It's kind of the same thing that we saw against Northwestern. Give me the Huskers laying the points.
I like the Huskers laying the points too, but it's trickier than you think because you'll just look at the totals here as far as wins, losses. Purdue sitting at 2-5, only 1-3 in the conference. Nebraska's not much better.
No,
they're 4-3. They're only 2-2 in the conference, and Nebraska just can't get out of their own way.
It just boils down to defense.
Yeah, and this is where the latest wave of injuries. I don't know what's going on, but they're to the offense, and quite frankly. And I've heard it put a lot of ways, a lot of injuries up front on the offensive line. Well, what have we been, kind of complaining about? Inconsistent offensive line play.
No doubt about it.
At left tackle, here, there, whatever. Okay, well, then there can't be that much of a drop-off, right?
No.
So, I mean, and we're...
Next man up.
And we've been asking to see these younger guys, and we're one game away from that cutoff, 4 games they get to play, these freshmen and guys on a red shirt.
Yep.
You're going to get them, whether you want to see them or not.
No, we're going to see everybody on the freaking roster.
I'm kind of excited to see these guys.
For sure.
I'm excited to see these guys. Throw them in the fire. I already feel like the Matt Rule era is off to a decent enough start.
Yeah.
Not everything has gone our way, Nebraska's way, whatever, but I like what I'm seeing.
Yeah, for sure.
Clean up the turnovers and boom.
Clean up the turnovers and penalties, just stupid mistakes on offense, and we really, really look like a different kind of team. We look like one of those grind-out teams that can run the ball, and no matter what, our defense is going to keep us in it. Player prop I really want to throw at you real quick, Andy, is the Heinrich Harburg. Pass and rushing yards together, 187.5.
Pass and rushing yards, 187.5. Wow.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little wild there.
Okay, I'm going to need 2 passes to Malachi Coleman. I need
passes.
2 passes to Malachi Coleman to give me that.
No, I agree. I believe that I am fading that one, Andy. If I'm going to go with anything with Heinrich Haarberg, I'm going to go with his 63.5 rushing yards. That's another prayer prop that you can put on Haarberg.
Like
63.5, I believe he gets that because I still don't know. Can he pitch the ball? Does he know how?
He really doesn't like to. He really doesn't like.
He really does not like to.
And in his defense, he came from a wide open passing offense at Kearney Catholic, and he got kind of thrown into the fire here. I mean, Sims, for all intents and purposes, was the guy going into this season. And Haarberg, give him credit. He's got a couple of wins. He's starting to stack up wins.
He really is. But I do believe, Andy, if we see some turnovers, we see some turnovers in this game, I do believe Jeff Sims is going to get another shot, especially if Haarberg puts us in a position to lose against one of these lesser Big Ten teams. Because it's make or break for the Nebraska Cornhuskers these next few weeks against these lesser Big Ten opponents to get to a bowl game. We need to beat Purdue. We need to beat Michigan State. And we need to be against Maryland full strength.
And that's another thing with these injuries. I think everybody's focus is ramped up that much more.
Sure.
All hands on deck. You got to get this one, and you got to get this one at home against a team that you should beat.
Exactly.
In Purdue.
Yep.
This isn't a good team in Purdue.
It's very bad.
We're talking and we're throwing a lot of mud at Nebraska here.
No doubt.
But much of the same could be said about the Boilermakers. You got to get this one at home.
I agree.
All right, I'm going to take the 2.5 then. Nebraska's going to cover this.
I'm on it too.
All right, and that total, I probably lean towards the under.
I think you got to, especially looking at both of these teams the past few weeks of what they've been able to output with their offense. Like I said, I believe the Huskers win this in a gritty game, 20-13, 17-13, 17-10, somewhere in that range. It's going to be a very close one.
There we go.
Nebraska pulls it out.
The gritty way. The Nebraska
way.
We got it. Take a minute to recognize one of our fabulous partners, and that is the Nebraska Brewing Company. World class in every glass. Don't go anywhere. This is WTL. And welcome back, everybody, to Where's the Line? That's WTL, Nebraska's first and only sports betting show. I'm your host, Andy Classen, joined by
JaBron.
The Parlay Pounder.
You got it, and I believe we have parlays in our future here, Andy.
All right.
This is the last segment.
Here we go.
So we're ready for some.
And we talked NFL, we got into college, now we got to get back to the NFL because we got a dynamite slate here. Sunday night, Monday night. And let's start with a banger of a matchup here. Everyone was circling this in the offseason like, there's going to be fireworks here. Is this high-flying offense going to be able to deal with this defense?
Possible Super Bowl matchup.
Yes, but it's kind of fizzled off. A little bit of that luster is lacking here after the last 2 weeks of the 49ers dropping some games here. Cincinnati is heading on out to San Francisco for a 3:25 p.m. That's going to be on CBS kickoff. San Francisco is a 3.5-point favorite. I don't think that line surprises anybody. Makes a lot of sense to me. That total is at 46.
Yeah, Andy, and I think the line has gone down on this.
Oh, it has. It has. I'm looking at a consensus of 3. Most boards are posting 3.
Yeah, exactly, Andy. So, as you know, I'll probably stay with the 49ers on this one.
Yeah.
I think they're still the best team in the NFL, or one of the best teams, if not top 3. I don't think it's as big of a skid mark as people are putting it out to be to lose to the Minnesota Vikings on the road. Minnesota Vikings play very well in that in the Viking ship up there in Minneapolis. It's
US Bank Stadium.
Exactly. And when you throw interceptions late, that's what's going to happen. You're going to lose games, especially if a defense, stands up to the 49ers like the Vikings did.
Vikings got their number. That's all the Vikings do is knock off top-tier teams.
Exactly.
I think the last game I was at up there was watching Jimmy G get smacked around, and Vikings beat the 49ers then.
They did. It was a crazy game that time, too.
It was. I like the 49ers in this spot, especially if this line is moving down. The look-ahead actually had this at a 5 5.5.
Exactly. That's where I saw when it opened, Andy, was the 49ers by 5.5. I think a lot of people are back on the Bengals, watching them kind of progress. And as for the Bengals, I imagine they'll look better here following an extra week of rest in preparation coming off the bye. Cincinnati really needs to spark their offense, though. Defensively, the team has given up 21 points per game, which is middle of the pack in NFL rankings. The lack of scoring has hurt, though. The Bengals have failed to hit 20 points in 4 of 6 games, which doesn't make sense for this star-studded trio of Mixon, Burrow, and Chase.
I mean, and Chase was like missing those first 3 weeks.
Exactly.
And T. Higgins, I know he got dinged up, got bit by the injury bug, but where's he been?
Yeah.
I need him back.
Exactly. I just don't think that Cincinnati's really figured it out. I don't think Cincinnati can keep pace with the San Francisco 49ers team, especially when you got Christian McCaffrey and Ayuk and Kittle coming off a stressful loss when they know they should have won that game. So I believe San Francisco comes in here, puts pedal to the metal. I know it's a lot about what I said last week, but it's going to happen again with the 49ers. They're going to run all over this defense.
I got the 49ers covering here as well. Now that total has moved down. Also, I mentioned the 46. I'm looking at a consensus of 43.5 if I'm going by averages across all the different books that I'm looking at.
Exactly. And it came out at 45.5, 46 points when it hit the books. But it's a lot of people are putting that under because they really think the 49ers defense is going to be able to clamp down on this Bengals offense that hasn't been able to put up points. And I can't say that it hasn't. The San Francisco 49ers did not get a sack against the Minnesota Vikings. Bosa and company is going to be coming for that quarterback, especially in this one. So I really do like the under in this one, especially if you can get it at that 45 range. Once it gets down to 41, 42, that's going to be very hard to bet on. But if you can get it at 45, 46, anywhere in that range, definitely do it. I really believe the 49ers are going to keep it low-scoring Bengals pretty close there.
All righty. Should we move on to the Sunday night game?
Let's do it.
I can't wait to dive into this one.
Let's do it.
What it is, what's up? That's my Chicago Bears. They're heading on out to L.A., coming off a win. And this line is moving in the direction where, maybe you'd want to look at Chicago. When I was taking my notes just a moment ago, I was looking at 8.5. I'm looking at consensus 9. L.A. Chargers are a 9-point favorite at home, total of 46.
Yeah, Andy. I mean, you got to love it. I'm leaning towards the Bears here. I really am.
Boy.
Tyson Bagent, the undrafted rookie Division II guy, he looked good in the opener, Andy. He looked good in his opener.
Hey, when you're talking Division II, you're talking Shepherd University.
You're talking Shepherd University out of Shepherdstown, West Virginia. But really where I'm lying here, Andy, is I'm not sold on the Chargers right now. Sure, the Chargers have played some tough opponents, but the Chargers are only one loss ahead of the Bears right now, and Chicago has to be feeling good right now after their victory over the Raiders at home. I think the Bears can keep this one a one-score game. So give me the Bears. I like the points here.
And Badgett put up some serious numbers that are coming in for Fields. He led 3 touchdown drives. Went 21 of 29 for 162 yards. Not gaudy numbers, but efficient numbers. Also had a touchdown through the air. You mentioned how he's a Division II product, so nothing was given to this guy. He was an unsigned free agent, right? And he's a rookie.
He becomes the first Division II undrafted rookie to start an NFL game since 1950, Andy. And that's what you get when you get people like this onto the field. They're not trying to do anything too crazy. They're looking for their stars. They're looking for DJ Moore. They're looking for Cole Kmet. If you can get receptions on either of those two, do it.
Isn't that weird when you just kind of boil it down and say, hey, let's just go get positive yardage to get things happen? And how about Dante Freeman? I'm kind of getting on my Foreman. Had a heck of a game. 89 yards, couple of touchdowns on the ground. That's why you brought the guy in from Atlanta.
Carolina last year. He kind of carried our offense the whole year. I know I grabbed him in all of my fantasy leagues and got me over 30 points this past week. So, no, I do believe they can grind it out against this team and get a couple big completions to those big guys, like I said, DJ Moore, Cole Kmet. So, give me the Chicago Bears with the points.
And talking about the Chargers, isn't it something where everyone was so high on Herbert for so long. He couldn't do wrong. All the losses weren't his fault, and I just felt like the tenor flipped last week. After
Yeah,
they
a little
lost that
bit.
game, everyone's like, all right, somebody's got to say something about Herbert here.
Yeah,
You know?
it just seems that he doesn't have the clutch factor when it comes down to, fourth quarter games. He's had so many chances in really tight games because they are a very good football team. They have very good weapons on both sides of the ball. So they're going to be in a lot of games, Andy, but it seems like they're always scratching and clawing at the fourth quarter to either, get the win or lose by, an interception or something like that. So he is not the leader that they thought he's going to be. That could change in the future, but I really do believe they're on thin ice here.
Yeah.
And one of these losses, especially to the Chicago Bears, can get that coach fired. So I really do believe that
he is on the hot seat.
They're on thin ice right now, and I believe the Chicago Bears team might be able to do it.
And if this line just keeps on moving the way of the Chargers here, I'm going to get all over the
For
Bears,
sure.
especially if it gets to double digits, which it
You
looks
have
like
to.
it might get there. I'm looking at a -9. Give me the Bears.
You have to.
The Bears.
The Bears.
All right, should we look at Monday night?
Let's do it.
I mean, we got to leave enough time for your parlay here as well.
We got time.
Okay, we got that time.
We got time.
The Las Vegas Raiders are
Yeah.
heading on over to Motor City, Detroit to take on the Lions. Lions were so hot there after that first week loss, but now they're 5-2, getting dusted up a little bit there.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the Lions as a 9-point favorite, however, over the Raiders after they got smacked around by the Bears last week.
Yeah, exactly. And like you said, the Detroit Lions will have a little nasty taste in their mouth after throwing up on themselves against the Ravens last week. The Lions' previous loss this season, they followed it up by beating the Falcons by 14 points and allowing less than 200 yards.
Okay.
The Las Vegas Raiders are a bad football team across the board.
Poorly coached, too. Poorly coached.
That includes being ranked 30th in scoring offense and 22nd in scoring defense. It doesn't help if Jimmy G's, going to continue to miss time. It's a big line, but I have no use for the Raiders. With the current form and injury status, give me the Lions. Comfortable win here. They smoke them.
They smoke them. I mean, this line's getting expanded, though.
Yeah.
I was looking at 8.5, already moved to 9. But
multiple touchdowns, but for Lions is what I'm going.
And Detroit has been one of the safest bets over the last 1.5 seasons. They are 14-3. Let me say 14-3 against the spread their last 17 games.
Yeah.
You gotta like Detroit.
You do.
And this is something where people are getting wise to it.
Yeah.
It's not just the sharp money now coming in on Detroit. Everybody's getting on Detroit. And this line can't, climb fast enough for the books to keep up to it. Like
You
I
have
said, open up at 7.5, already at 9, and I think it's going to go north of 9.
It just will, Andy. So I really agree with anybody that's on the Lions right now. I have nothing for the Raiders. I just don't, especially if Jimmy G is going to miss more time, because that's really their only saving grace is if Jimmy G plays and he doesn't turn the ball over, they won't lose by as much.
Kind of a curious spot here. When I was looking at the totals, I've seen it come down 0.5 point across many of the different books that I'm looking at here.
Yeah.
So going from 46 to 45, and if you're thinking of kind of a blowout type of scenario here for Detroit, usually you see that over go up, not down.
Yeah, it's just that the Raiders can't score points, Andy, and that's the whole entire thing with it. I do believe that the Lions score a lot of points here, but I don't think the Raiders can do their part in this. I don't know if the Raiders score in this one. We might see a goose egg on Monday night for the first time in a while. I do not believe in anybody on this Raiders team except for Devontae Adams, who should be a Carolina Panther.
And if I see an offensive performance, I slid that right in there.
Yeah.
And if I see another offensive performance like that in primetime Monday night, I'm going to be so mad at Roger Goodell. It's all his fault.
It's all his fault.
All his fault.
We should see the Chiefs every Monday night.
Fire that clown.
Yep.
All right, Mr. Parlay Pounder.
Yeah.
You got to have that parlay ready.
I do. I got two, actually. I'm going to lay one for player props only. So first player prop I got is Travis Kelce over a touchdown. That one is hitting for sure. And then I said it in the opening, Rachaad White under 49.5 rushing yards. And then to round this one out, I got Jordan Addison over 57.5 receiving yards.
Boy.
The books still aren't caught up to this guy. Putting $20 on that to win 100. Now for my 3-team parlay, actually, we got Nebraska covering that 2.5 points. Minnesota Vikings pick'em game, gonna win that game. And then to round it out, I got the Kansas City Chiefs -6.5 with the Denver Broncos. Putting $25 on this to win 132.
I was going to say, that's got to be a good payout.
Yeah. Run it back down. Nebraska by 2.5. Vikings pick 'em. Kansas City Chiefs over the Denver Broncos by 6.5 points. 25 to win 132.
I like it. You got the Huskers in there. You also got the Chiefs in there.
Yeah.
And I like the player props. Kelsey, 2 touchdowns, right? That's what you're saying?
No, just one.
Just one?
One touchdown.
Anytime?
Anytime touchdown.
Easy money from the Parlay Pounder, folks. All right, that'll about do it for us this week. Be sure to follow us on ESPN Tri-City Radios and their Facebook page. We're also on Twitter, and that page is starting to grow. Got a lot of fun little short videos that we like to share with everybody on that. Our YouTube channel continues to grow. We're picking up subscribers and viewers, and we are loving it. And it's a great way for us to interact with you guys. Even when you throw a little shade at us after the Bears didn't cover, I saw a little message on there. What's up? I'm like, hey, Ronald, we'll get you back.
Oh, yeah.
We'll get you back,
exactly,
man.
No. If we're not putting wacky stuff out, we need to get chirped out. So we love it. So we love to talk to the fans. Love it when you guys chirp us as well.
And you got those daily free picks over on TikTok.
Yes, sir.
For JaBron, the Parlay Pounder, I'm Andy Classen. Thank you for listening. This has been WTL.